So I am just kind of going to walk you through remembering what we did because it has been a bit. I was on page 2 in your packet where you're given slopes and have to tell whether they are perpendicular, parallel, or neither. You will have problems like this. Remember, parallel, they're the same. Perpendicular, they're opposite reciprocals. So if they're not opposite, move on. They have to be opposite and reciprocals of each other, right? Otherwise, they're neither. They're just opposite and not reciprocals, they're neither. If they're just reciprocals, they're neither. But if they are opposite and reciprocals, they're perpendicular. They're the same, they're parallel. All right, so check to see if they're the same, right? If they are, they're parallel. If not, move on, see if they're reciprocals. If they are, check to be sure they're opposite, right? Go logistically through there. So that is also just like page 4 in your packet, right? So hopefully you've practiced that on page 4. The next section on your quiz is like page 11, where you are given the slope of a line, looking at page 11, and you need to tell how it would be parallel. So you're repeating the same slope and what the slope of a perpendicular line would be. Okay, so that next section is just like page 11 and page 12. So again, you're given the slope. This is the same. Here you have to change the sign and flip it. That's page 12 in your packet, and that's the second section. The third section looks hop back to page 6. We did a lot of these. It's pages 6 through 10. We did a lot of these where we were given 2 slope-intercept forms and we had to state whether they were parallel, perpendicular, or intersecting. Remember, intersecting is the same as neither. So be sure you're finding the slope, locating the slope. It would probably behoove you to write the slope of these. There's 4 of these. They're in slope-intercept form. You know how to find the slope, right? That's your M. And then you're just deciding, are they the same? Are they the opposite reciprocal? Or are they neither? Okay. So that was the third section. The fourth section has to do with a little more that we're going to practice here. So just like when we were finding on page 11, when we were finding the slope, now we're just going to put that into a point slope form. I'll give you extra credit if you can write it in slope intercept form from your point slope form. But we are going to take more notes on that in just a minute. So the next section looks like page 15. You're given some points like this. It looks like these 2. Do you need to show your work? Yes. You need to show that you're putting something in for y. Remember, these points are listed x, y, and you're setting them equal to when you put x into the equation. Okay, so hopefully you showed some of this work, right? Some of you might have to go back and look at notes filling in your blanks. So there are 2 big problems just like these 2 things here, okay? It looks very, very similar. The only thing different is literally these numbers here. So that number changes and this number changes. Otherwise, it looks exactly the same on your quiz tomorrow, okay? So be sure you know how to check those. Doesn't really matter if you know yes or no. You need to know how to check those. All right. Finally, there are 2 parts on the back. One part looks just like page 13 and 14. So 13 and 14, this is 13. You're going to be given a graph and you need to label the point of intersection. So this is just like page 21 from yesterday too. You're going to be given a graph and you have to label this point of intersection. You can do that, right? You know the X value comes first and then the Y value. So 2, 2 would be the answer there, right? So it's just like page 21, our practice from yesterday. We were given a graph and all you have to do is answer your point. The last 2 problems are just like 16 through 20 and 22. So 16 looks like this. So you have to know how to graph the 2 lines and then label the point of intersection. That's the last 2. So you had to graph the 2 lines, label the point of intersection. Also just like page 22, right? So there was a lot of practice on those things as well. Okay, so that brings me to today's practice. There's a section on this. So 2 questions from this. We have to remember what it means to be parallel, right? So pull out the sheet that you have. This goes along with a pixel art, but of course tomorrow you're not going to be able to get onto your Chromebooks to look at the pixel art. So you do need to have this paper filled out today so that you're ready to go for tomorrow. So parallel means I would write right on here, same slope. So first thing you need to do is what is the slope of your line? You're writing a line that's parallel to this through this point. So what is the slope if it's the same? Careful. Don't forget that negative in front of it. So -3. Now, it's giving you a point. Do you remember your point slope form? Y minus y1 is equal to your slope, open parentheses, x minus x1. So this is x1, this is y1. This is m. Can you write an equation now? You should be able to. So you have y minus y1. What is y1? 2. So -2 is equal to your slope, -3. Open your parentheses. You have x minus x1. So minus a negative is going to become plus 5. If you do, this is what you do, you get full credit, right? That's an equation. The question says, write the equation of the line that passes through the point, whatever the point is, and is parallel to this line, or on the back you have perpendicular to it. So if you wanted to change it into slope-intercept form, remember to distribute through your parentheses. So I still have y minus 2 is equal to -3 times x, which is -3x, and -3 times 5, which is -15. The only thing I need to do now is solve for y. So I would add 2 to both sides. I have y is equal to -3x minus what? 13? So either here or here. So all of these are going to be the same slopes on this side, and with your pixel art, On the back, you have your perpendicular lines. So what is going to be the slope of a line perpendicular to this? Here, this is 1/4. I need the opposite. So is it going to be positive or negative? Negative, because that is positive. And I need the reciprocal. So flip the fraction. So this is going to be 4/1. Should you write this as -4? Yes, you should be able to simplify. You don't need to simplify like improper fractions, but you should know that something divided by 1 is just a whole number, right? So remember, you're going to find the opposite reciprocal here, which means you're going to change the sign, flip the fraction. So if it's not written as a fraction, you have to think of this as 5/1, right? Then you're going to take the opposite and flip it. Should all be review. And the only thing you're going to do is put it into your point slope form. So y minus y1. Remember, this is x1, this is y1. What's y1? -2. So I'm going to say minus a -2. If I minus a negative, I'm really going to say +2. We're going to take the opposite of whatever that is equal to my slope. So remember, I want my new slope here. I want these to be perpendicular. So pay very close attention to your directions. One of them is going to ask you to do a parallel line. One of them is going to ask you to do a perpendicular line. So one, you're keeping the slope the same. The other, you're taking the opposite and flipping it. And then we have x minus -4. So we're taking the opposite of -4, which is +4. And then if you'd like to continue on, you have y plus 2 is equal to distribute, right? -4x, and then -4 times 4 is -16. And then I simply am solving for y. So y is equal to -4x minus, it's getting more negative. So either one of these is totally fine with me. All right. Be sure your packet is done tomorrow. Right before we take the quiz, I'm just going to have you go through the quiz and write down what pages to refer to, because some of you can't quite figure out that it's taken from great examples in your quiz. You should be able to mirror those examples on your quiz, okay, in your packet to your quiz. All right, so you have a pixel art due today. You have almost half an hour still. So you only have 1, 2, 3 on this page and 1, 2, 3 on the other page. As far as your pixel art goes, let's look at the form of it, because sometimes that's what gets us stuck a little bit. Here we are. That was yesterday's pixel art. Today's looks like this. Yesterday we had one. Today we have one. It says, right. Has anyone started this? Let's just throw in our first answer. So parallel to that was the first one we did, right? So let's see if we can leave it in point slope form. Y minus 2 is equal to -3 open parenthesis x plus 5 close parenthesis. Nope. So you gotta solve it for. So y equals -3x minus 13. All right. And then we also did this one on the back. So you just have three more. Do be sure you're showing your work so you can use this on your quiz tomorrow. You have one that's like the parallel question, one that's like the perpendicular question, okay? I know that was a lot because we just went over a ton of work that we've done over multiple weeks in whatever time that was, 20 minutes or so. All right, so get these done. Get this practice in.